Hi, I'm Sue, your Magnificence mentor. Welcome to Magnificence Moments. Today, I decided to choose the topic of change as a good thing to focus on. Think about for a moment how you deal with change. Do you like it? Do you just dive in at the slightest opportunity to change from one thing to another, whether it's what you're doing or thinking or whatever's going on around you? Or do you tend to dig your heels in either a little bit or a lot at just the thought of having your comfortable routine upset? I think that when we don't embrace change in a really proactive and positive way, it stops us from living our own magnificence. And it can cause a great deal of suffering if we're not paying attention to how we deal with change. So let's take a look at this topic for a minute. First of all, nature is in a constant state of change. All around us, you can watch the cycles of nature from moment to day, month to month, from new growth springing up out of the earth through to the maturing of and maybe even the flowering of the plant. And then eventually the leaves die off, the plant goes dormant, and then again in the spring the cycle continues. So change is just a natural, normal way of moving through. Our bodies are the same, right? We our cells are constantly replicating, they're dying off. Our bone structure gets rebuilt every, I think it's 7 years or something like that. So we're not the same from physically from moment to moment, just as nature isn't the same from moment to moment. So, why is it that we are so resistant to change? Well, one very good reason is the fear of the unknown. Because let's face it, if we're going down a particular path that seems fairly continuous and stable, and all of a sudden there's a fork in the road and we don't know what's at the end of that path, we are hardwired to feel a sense of threat because what's down that path might not be good for us, right? So, from a survival instinct, it's pretty natural to have some trepidation around something that is unknown. And usually we don't know the outcome of any given change, whether it will be good for us or not. So it's natural to feel a little anxious about it. But the challenge is if we allow that sense of discomfort to stop us in our tracks, we would never go out the door. We would never do anything that would move us towards the kind of life that we really want to have. So, the first thing that we want to pay attention to is to question the notion, because, of course, most of the time, a change doesn't mean a physical threat. It doesn't mean that our life is in danger. It just may mean that we'll get pushed out of our comfort zone for a period of time until we adjust to the new. So it's helpful to explore each of those changes that come into our life from the perspective of, is this really a threat, or could it be an opportunity? An opportunity to try something new, an opportunity to experience in a way that you have never done before. Travel does that for us, right? We go to a far-flung land that we've never been to before. Everything's different. The sights, the sounds, the food, the smells, nothing's the same. Often the language, the currency, and on, all the customs. So it's a huge adjustment. And it's amazing how well we do, despite feeling a little bit threatened and a little bit in trepidation about the outcome. And somehow we manage just fine. So on a day-to-day basis, the same thing holds true. We examine what is it that we could get from making a change? In what ways would we benefit? And how much of a threat is it really? So I look at it as kind of a risk versus reward sort of scenario. And then based on that, there's lots of times when I just flat out push myself way out of my comfort zone and try on the new. Now, I have to say that so far hasn't applied to either bungee jumping or skydiving, and likely it never will. However, I have challenged myself in lots of ways that caused great discomfort initially, and yet the rewards at the end were significant for me. So that's what I want to encourage you to do, is to pay attention to how you deal with change and then change your mind if the way you're dealing with it isn't serving you. If there's not a physical threat, if it's just going to cause you a little bit of emotional or mental discomfort, then think about what's the worst that can happen. And if you can deal with that, then go ahead, make the change. You know you can do it because you are magnificent.